You're watching The Agenda. Let's take you to the story now. South Africa and the Republic of India have signed a Memorandum of Understanding on cooperation in the reintroduction of cheetahs in the Asian country. Restoring cheetah population is considered to be a priority for India, with the aim of achieving a number of ecological objectives. For more on this, we are now joined via Zoom by the Department of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries Deputy Director General of Biodiversity and Conservation, Flora Mokgohloa. Thank you so much for your time on the program. So take us through how this memorandum came to be and what is the importance therein.
Thank you very much, Nkolisi. Good morning. Yes, South Africa does have a Memorandum of Understanding with the government of the Republic of India. As you know that India is also part of the BRICS countries. And one area of cooperation is around conservation and ensuring that the two countries support each other on conservation-related matters. And therefore, in this particular agreement, we have committed to supporting the government of India in their efforts to restore cheetah populations within their country.
So we do understand that the cheetah population is dwindling, and this is at a rapid pace. How dire is the situation? Just perhaps paint a picture for us.
We understand that cheetahs in India have been or are going into extinct, and hence in this commitment that we are making to be translocate or donating cheetahs to India, is to ensure that they are reintroduced into habitats in order to grow their populations. We have undertaken a risk assessment in terms of habitat suitability and also the organizational readiness to be able to take care of these cheetahs. So those due diligence studies have been concluded in India from our team and we have found that they are in a position to receive the cheetahs, and that the habitat will be able to support the reintroduction thereof. What the government of India will then benefit is in respect of thriving populations and landscapes, in the sense that once you introduce a particular species into an environment, we see the benefits in respect of predator-prey relationships and, generally speaking, in respect of recovery of the habitat and the ecosystem.
So how will this multidisciplinary international program be coordinated? Because I understand, logistics, there's going to be lots of those involved. Take us through the process itself.
Okay, what's in the agreement is that this is being facilitated by the NGO, if I were to say so, the translocation thereof. And this translocation is undertaken within the purview of the Memorandum of Understanding, which therefore implies that as government, our role is to facilitate. So the NGO will then make the application on behalf of the government of India, which will then be processed by the respective issuing authorities, in this case, Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal. There's about 12 cheetahs that we are talking about that are already in quarantine, being prepared for this export purposes. The NSPCA has already undertaken an assessment of the conditions of the cheetahs and their readiness to be translocated. And then the NGO will make an application through the two authorities, which will be processed within 21 days. And then the government of India will then charter an aeroplane into South Africa once the permits have been issued, so that they can then translocate them to India. So it's quite a very intense and involved operation that will be undertaken for the purpose of this translocation.
Right. So, Ms. Mokgohloa, in terms of the MOU, South Africa and India will collaborate and exchange best practices in large carnivore conservation. How will this be done?
Okay. In terms of how will this be done, is that there will be exchanges in respect of the conservation management, or otherwise the science around the conservation of big cats. broadly speaking, if I were to say so. You would know that we host healthy populations of big cats, in this case lions, cheetahs and leopards in South Africa. India, on the other hand, have got healthy populations of tigers, which are native in their country. They are not native in South Africa. And therefore, in respect of exchanging the best practice, I'm just noting on the big cats, this is where the expertise will be shared, and also in respect of the conservation management thereof. Just taking into account that we are a mega diverse, one of the mega diverse countries as South Africa. We've got high levels of endemism. India, on the other hand, they've got their own typical ecosystem that they are supporting for their various species in their country. So those are some of the areas, especially in respect to the extent that conservation and scientific management of species is concerned, where we'll be exchanging capacity, knowledge also.
Sounds like quite a complex and intricate process. It's said now that the terms of the MOU will be reviewed every 5 years just to ensure it remains relevant. Perhaps take us through what will be some of the things you will look out for.
What we will look out for in this particular case, in respect of the big cats, is essentially we will look out for the survival of the species. In India, we'll be doing an assessment at determined intervals to check whether these cheetahs, once they've been translocated to India, are able to survive. The MOU itself commits us to donating about 10 at intervals as determined and agreed between the two governments. And depending on the survival rate of these 12 cheetahs on the other side, and if we are able to establish thriving populations, we will be able to look at whether we can then, on an annual basis, continue to increase the donation thereof. And therefore, what the review of MOU entails is therefore to look at the intervals at which we will be reviewing what they are responsible for and what we are responsible for, and whether that is relevant or otherwise needs to be improved or otherwise. So that's essentially what the review of the MOU will entail when we refer to the 5 years. It could be that in 5 years' time that we could extend the current agreement or understanding, and maybe look at the possibility of any other areas in which we can collaborate on.
Right, we'll certainly be keeping a keen eye on developments in this regard. Thank you for that. That was the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, DGG, Biodiversity and Conservation, Flora Mokgohloa.